All right, let's get it. So how do I catch trades? A lot of people think that when they see someone's P&L, they flash their P&L and it shows like 50x leverage. Depending if they're a skilled trader or not, if they got lucky, they'll flash that. Like, yeah, I got lucky. They got lucky starting on 50x. I never start on anything higher than 7. And why do I do that? Okay. I'll give you examples. I started 3 accounts at the beginning of the month to show you, for these videos specifically, just to show you don't need a lot of money, to show you the idea of playing leverage games and how you can turn a small amount of money into a big amount of money so quickly by using leverage responsibly. So let me show you. This account, well, that's one of them. This account I started with, I think it was $500. You can see it here. $512. I doubled it, took money out, because I'll go over the structure of how I have my accounts. But once I make profit, I split that profit into 3. I keep a third in the trading account. I turn the other third into dollars that I keep for myself. I spend it on whatever the fuck I want. And the other third I keep for DCAing. So I always have money in all areas. My trading accounts grow. My DCA account also gets popped up. And I get to go out and do whatever the fuck I want with my money. Scuba dive. I get to ride horses. I get to travel. I get to do whatever I want, you know? Pay yourself. But you can see my P&L. My green days are significantly bigger than my red days. 39% win rate. That's all you need. If I'm risking 1 to make at least 3, that 39% is profit. See, just from $500, I've already made $3,000. But I'm not blowing up my account by keeping it all in there. I'm paying myself, and this account will slowly grow. I've grown multiple accounts to pretty big sizes, but you don't need a lot of money to start. You just have to be patient. You have to know when to enter the market. You have to know how to exit. You have to know the psychology of, in an uptrend, you can still short and make money on those positions that you have, and then use that short money to add to your longs. Conversely, in a downtrend, in a bear market, you're shorting majority of the time, but you can catch those small upswings to add to your shorts. You know what I'm saying? Like, profit here, profit, withdraw, start from the beginning again. Profit, profit, profit. I'm going to withdraw again soon, but my cumulative P&L, you can see, back to the beginning, but I kept a little to top up my account to make it bigger, went back up again, and I'm soon to get to take profit on this account. And this account is just random spending money that I'm going to spend on the week, you know? Again, I'm going to show you the structure of how I organize my trading accounts and why I have multiple ones. Same with this one. This one I'm starting. I started, I don't know, when was it? On the 8th. And look at my profit days. Boom, 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 boom. Just from, how much did I start this one with? 356. Now I've withdrawn some. Now I'm at 800. I've doubled it, and I've withdrawn, I think it was like close to $700. Almost triple the account. But I don't want it to get too big because you lose, like, you get greedy that way, right? But yeah, that's for a different video. What I'm trying to get across, before I went off on a tangent, is how I catch trades. This is another account that I started with. How much did I start this one with? 700, I think. Now I'm up to $4,000 and I've already withdrawn $2,000 from it. You know, like, you don't need a lot of money to start trading. You just have to have a system, right? So catching trades, you catch them on low leverage first. So for example, let's start a new trade, just so I can show you. And the thing I like about LBank, it shows you your liquidation price. Other ones don't fucking show that, but it doesn't mean they're bad. But for the example, LBank I'm going to use because it shows the liquidation price. So we'll just go BTC. Bitcoin's trying to do something. We'll start off on 3x. Well, 5x, because that's really the lowest I like to use. Well, I go 3 sometimes, but that's only for shorts. We'll go 5x. Isolated, don't go cross. So isolated is important. I'll talk about that later. Market, I'll put in, I don't know, excuse me, 100. What we want to pay attention to is the liquidation price, wherever it shows up. How come it didn't fucking show up? Refresh. Sometimes it didn't show up, you gotta refresh. There it is, liquidation price. How far down is that? 20%. You might be able to tell where I'm going with this now, right? So when you catch a trade, you don't know how deep it's going to go. That's why starting on low leverage is really good. Only a part of your position size. So price might do, let's say, and again, this is a bad example because we're buying the top. We want to buy dips into support. So let's just say price was like this and then it came back down. That's why we entered here, right? But we don't know how deep it's going to go if this is support, right? Because it could do this and then take off. We want to catch it. We don't want to get liquidated or stopped out. So our liquidation is way down here. But if you were to start on 50x, look where the liquidation price goes. Well, I won't go 50. I'll just go 30 just to show you that high leverage liquidation price goes up. And then remove the margin. I'll explain what I'm doing later, but I'm trying to show you the liquidation price. It'll go up soon. Did I remove the margin? There you go. See? I would have gotten liquidated if I started on high leverage. Oh, I might even keep this fucking... I wish I went bigger on this Bitcoin. Well, but anyways, that's my point about catching it on low leverage first and then ramping it up. Because once you're in profit... Yeah, let me delete this. And that. Once you're in profit, it doesn't matter where your liquidation price is, right? So again, let's put our margin back in, because I'll explain another concept. Go to 10. No, 5, just so I can show a better example. Watch, my liquidation price goes down again when I lower my leverage. Way down here, right? That's what I mean by low. When I flash my P&L, sometimes my leverage is at like fucking 100. I didn't start at 100. I ramped up to 100, and that's the trick about these leverage games, right? So I guess I'll do the leverage game and how I catch an entry, because it's related. So let's say I caught this entry already, which I have, it looks like, but this isn't confirmed anything. It's, it's still this. It's not breaking the all-time high, and we're overcooked on the oscillators. So I'm in profit now. I'm going to move my stop loss to entry at least or even higher. So it doesn't matter what my liquidation price is now, right? I could have my liquidation up here on 100x, but if price goes down, I'll be stopped out first before getting liquidated in profits, right? I'm making this much profit, which is 70 cents. But that's the concept, right? It doesn't matter the amount, right? It's the concept. I catch trades on low leverage. Once I'm in profit, then I start adding. And how you do that with limited capital, let's say all I had was this $100. See all these? I started on 5x, and then I ramped it up, and I've been taking profits along the way up. That's how I got that money that I've taken out of this account. So once you're in profit, 5x, you can scale it up. I don't suggest anything higher. Well, you can go as high as you want, but you gotta be more experienced with when you add to the trade. So I suggest first going to 10. So now you're 10x. And then you remove your margin by going to where it says margin. It's different for every exchange, but the mechanic works the same everywhere. Click on the edit, reduce margin because you've already increased it, meaning you're borrowing more from the exchange, but you can do this confidently now because you're in profits. You can't get liquidated if you're in profits, unless your stop loss is still below your entry. So we're in profit. We moved our stop loss above entry or at least to entry, so we cannot get liquidated. Remove 100%, confirm. Where does our liquidation price go to again? It moves up. Since we're on 10x, it didn't move up that much, but if we go to 100, it's literally up here. But let's say price was up here and your stop loss is up here. Who gives a fuck what your liquidation is, right? You're already in profits. This is going to be a video that you're going to have to watch over again because I've tried explaining it to the best of my ability to some people. They don't get it. You know, you're going to have to keep watching it to see if you get it. You will. I believe you can get it. I got it, and I'm a fucking idiot. But when I want to learn something, I fucking learn it, right? I spent the time to try and figure it out. So we're in profits, stop loss is in profit, and I can even show you. We'll go max leverage, 200. Look where our liquidation price goes. Whoops, haven't removed margin yet. Reduce margin, 100%. Liquidation. Come on, baby. There you go. That's fucked. You start on 200x, you go down 0.28%, you're liquidated. That's how you play leverage games. That's how you take $100 into... I'm sure you guys have heard my stories. I've flashed it in Discord, Telegram, about my two trades that I've turned into. The first one was bonk, $100 into 25,000, and Popcat turned 100 into 15,000 using this method. It's you'll land these fucking big degen ones, but meme coins, I don't need to put a lot of money in because they're so volatile that you can ramp up so high, right? And I'll teach you how to be able to do that in a separate account on a degen account, right? I start these degen accounts on low leverage, like low amounts, but I'm playing only meme coins. I fucking love meme coins. I love shit coins because of that reason, because I can turn 100 into 25,000. It doesn't always happen, but when you find those setups, you'll be confident in making the money, man. I'm telling you. I kid you not. So we're on 200x leverage. We're up 134%. I can close that, but I fucking made nothing. It's cool to flash that P&L on Twitter, on Discord, on Telegram, but I fucking made nothing from that, right? Because going into it at 200x right away, if that's how people are doing it, they're nervous. They're not using a lot of money. They're using $5, $10, you know. They just want this P&L thing, right? 139% on 200x. But they really only moved this much using small amount. If they used a lot, they're fucking gambling. They don't know what they're doing because they started on 200x. I caught this trade. I gave you that example. Where's the fucking drawing tool? If price would have done, let's say, for example's sake, that's how I caught this trade down here. But if it went down here and did this for a bit, my liquidation at 5x was way down here. I don't give a fuck what it's doing in here, right? If anything, I'd be adding to it. I'd add to that position. But it's only once I'm above my entry, that's when I increase my leverage to take out my margin. You saw that I'm only on $2 margin. I originally started with $100. But every time you increase your margin, every time you put money in, it gets multiplied by that amount. So digital ID crypto card. I'll explain that later. Online notepad or scratchpad. All right, we get it. So, bro, this background is insane. How do I change this? Line width. Yeah, we want it big. Okay. So you start with $100 on 5x. $500. You remove that, you put it into 10x, and then you removed half the margin because you only need half. You're borrowing the other 50 from the bank or from the exchange, right? So you have 50 times 10 equals $500 still. But what if you add that extra 50 that you removed once you're at 10x? That equals 1,000. So now I have a $1,000 position with the same $100, but I caught the trade. Like I was saying, I'm in profit, so I can add to it. I can scale into it, right? I don't need to keep adding the same capital on 5x. Bro, how do I clear this shit? Like that, I guess. But you get what I'm saying with the math, right? You catch the trade. Once you're in profit, you increase the leverage so that $100 at 10x from 5x, when you start adding to it, it's worth more, right? If I add $50 to 100 at 5x, that only gives me 250. But when I remove that margin from that 5x position and increase it to 10, I have 50, so I can double the position because I've doubled my leverage. I suggest starting out going from 5 to 7, 7 to 10, 7 to 12, 12 to 15, just so you can learn how to start adding to the position. Because if you add too fast, for example, I want a clean chart here. Let's go Cardano. Good old Cardano. Let's say, where's a good area to exemplify? Let's say I entered about here. No, right about here. Entry. And then price did this, broke out of that trend and went up. I want to add to my position, right? Shit, sorry, hold on. Okay. So you want to add to your entry. You've increased your leverage now that you're in profits to 10x from 5x. And you add it here. You start adding to your position. And you want your average entry to be here. This is the part that a lot of people fuck up. They get such a beautiful entry here. And then they add too much and then their entry ends up becoming here. Right? That's greedy or just a mistake or inexperience, but that's why I suggest starting on low leverage, and then increase it slowly. But once you get more comfortable with that idea and that concept or this strategy, you can go up right away and then do the math or get used to like knowing I'm on 100x, I can only add this percent to my the position because it's multiplied by 100. Right? So starting off on low leverage because increments and adding bit by bit because you want to see your price do this. I've added some. Okay, I've added some. I can keep going. I can keep adding. I can keep adding. Okay, I'm happy with where it is because it's under this low. And if we're in an uptrend, we expect it to make higher lows. Right? Respect that. So we want it to do this, up here. The moment it gets below this low, that means it's invalidated and we're going down, right? So you stopped out in profits. But there's also, if this is your stop loss and you didn't add to it yet. But the first thing you should do is move your stop loss into profit, then do your leverage because it hasn't happened to me, but just in case, you increase your leverage, you remove your margin, your liquidation price is here, you haven't set your stop loss, God forbid some fucking crazy news comes out and just wicks you in that exact moment. Set your stop loss first, then fuck with your leverage. Okay? So we've set our stop loss. Now we want to do the leverage games. I'm on 5x. I want to go 10x. Price is right here. We'll make a new one. Color this white. Next. Current price. We'll put it that. Save as current price. Say current price is there. Right? Set your stop loss where you want it to be. If you go from 5 to 10 and add the whole thing right away, you're sacrificing. You don't know where it's going to end up. It's going to end up half of where it is, but let's say current price is up here and you're like, shit, I didn't get to see that, but I want to add to my position, but I don't want it to be too crazy. Doubling it, if you add to it, if you double it right away and price is up there, it's going to be 50% of that gap. It's going to be half, right? Current price, no. Fuck, man. I had that organized before. Anyways, let's say this is half. It's going to sacrifice that entry you have by putting your entry way too high. That's why it's important to do it bit by bit, increments by increments. Start on like 7x and then go to 10 and then go to 12, go to 13, remove bit by bit so you can learn and get used to increasing your price or your average entry slowly. Do this. So you want to see do this. Boom, 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 till you get here. You don't want it to be too close to your stop loss because if you get stopped out, you want to have some profit, but that comes with experience. I might have even done this if I'm inexperienced, just because I don't want to be greedy, but I want to secure some profits, but at the same time increase my position. But if you see it blows past a really big level, like we can identify this as a very strong level. This lots of horizontal price action. You might do this just because you have experience and confidence to know. Also, again, based on market psychology, based on your psychology, it's going to influence what you do at this point, right? It's going to influence how much you put this here, close to your stop loss. Again, liquidation doesn't matter anymore because we're in profit. The liquidation was down here at 100x, it'll be up here, but what will price hit first? Our stop loss. So it doesn't fucking matter, right? So current price is up there. We're not getting stopped out, and we just built a nice position. Boom. And then if price does this again, starts flagging, and then does this. Whoops. Whoopala. Does this. And then takes off again. What are we going to do here? Increase our leverage. Move stop loss. Whoops. Let's move stop loss first to there. Then increase leverage bit by bit. Boom, 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 boom. Now we're building a monster-sized position. From this entry, we've compounded. Instead of just riding up to 50% on 5x, we're now increasing our leverage and the size of the position's getting bigger. You see what I'm saying? You just need a small amount of money to grow accounts. When I make accounts, I have purposes for these accounts. I grow them and then I completely close that account. I don't close the account on the exchange. I take out all the money because it had a purpose. I want to go on a trip next year. I'll start an account with a bit of money. I'll keep compounding it using this method. And then by the end, when I reach my target that I've designated for that specific account, I take it out and spend it on what I wanted. I've been traveling doing that. I've been buying shit doing that. I started these three accounts. These three accounts to buy a fucking motorcycle. Right? All with $1,000 total. Was it 1,000? No, it was like 3,000 total. But I can turn that into several thousand using this fucking method, this strategy, or this leverage game. Because the whole complete system is the strategy. This is just one part of it. This is how you exponentially grow your capital. So it's very important to practice this. You got to understand that you do not want to sacrifice your entry by adding too quickly. Go bit by bit. You don't start on high leverage. The best thing I've heard someone say to me about dealing with greed and FOMO and being impatient is don't chase a trade, catch it. You want to trap it. And how you trap it. Okay. So using our indicators that I showed you last video, or one of the videos before, we want to identify a buy zone. I see several. We'll drop our VWAPs. I'll use locals just to... Fuck that shit, man. This shit again. We found a cluster here. We haven't even drawn our fibs yet. I'm going to draw 2. Well, we can already identify this cluster here. I fucking love the 618, 786. When that happens, it's a nice big bounce, but it's like, that's when people get scared because it's very fucking deep, right? But you buy the fear. That's, again, psychology. You got to get used to that. And if you have a plan, it's okay to be in the red. It's okay to be scared of it because you've already accounted for that in your strategy. So that's a nice reaction zone. Buy zone. I will talk about later in another video how I don't have to stare at the charts and I set alerts like this one here. Oh shit, Bitcoin's pumping. But we've identified one level there. There's another level here. I don't put too much weight on the 236 because usually what I see happens on the 236 is we'll get a reaction, but it's also this. It's not the one that we want. Well, we can still make money off of that. That's when you dial into the lower time frames. But generally speaking, the major fib levels, 382, 618, 786. 50, it gets respected sometimes, but in confluence with other things, then it's a banger. But 618, you can usually expect reactions off of there, or 786. And even better with confluence, right? So again, trap a trade, identify your levels. Let's see what local offer. Yeah, it lines up perfectly with that buy zone. So what am I going to do? Check out the drawdown. It's about 5%. That's risky with leverage, but on low leverage like 3x, that's okay. All right. So let's get rid of the fib levels that we don't need. I'm going to get rid of this, even though that's a 200-day moving average. It can bounce there, but I want to show that I'm trapping a trade, not chasing it. This is very degen. With experience, you'll be able to take short-term trades off of this, because right now, Bitcoin, oh, fuck, I don't want to lose this chart. That's a pink chart. Bitcoin on the higher time frame, the oscillators, if you watch the previous video about oscillators, we're showing signs of a reversal. We haven't gotten the reversal yet, but it's printing fucking signs of a reversal. And what can we expect with this? Divergence, right? We're making a higher high. This high is already when the oscillator is turning over, so we can expect, weakness is coming in like pretty soon. Lower time frames will show you divergence. See, it's showing you divergence. The move is coming, but be prepared. That's what it's saying on the higher time frame. So going back to my example, pink list, ADA. Whoops. Using that in confluence with what I see. Why does that keep changing back to this fucking stupid shit? Anyways, we can see that something's going to happen, and it looks like it's going to be a very heavy move down. And in confluence with looking at Bitcoin, and I'll talk about the other charts, dominance, I already know, looking at dominance, that we're reaching a rejection zone on everything, on alts. So this level with divergence, like I was saying, and do this, we can get a bounce, but that lower high might even do this, and then boom, get to the zone that we want, which is down here. So take off the 236. We want to trap a trade, and how do I do that? And this is where this tool comes in handy. The long position. Let's say I want to start it here based on that VWAP. Let's maybe pull another VWAP. Let's get a few going just to be more confluent. Anchored VWAP from this high. These are local. I'm not going to bother doing the. See, it lines up here as well from that local high. This low will probably be around the same area. Yeah, all within there. So now that I've identified a really good bounce zone and where it could possibly wick to, I can start planning my trade by doing this. Invalidation under this 618, 7%. That's big. But on 3x, where would my liquidation be? Way the fuck down here, right? But you don't need it to be that low. You don't like your position sizing also comes with the drawdown. You have to think of your position sizing in terms of how much capital you're willing to risk, the conviction of the bounce zone or the entry level like conditions, the environment of the market, sentiment, and your psychology. If it's a meme coin, it's going to be volatile. So you're going to go low leverage, wider stop, small position size. $100, 25,000. That's possible with $100. So you're going to ladder in as well. Your starter position is going to be here. Get a bit heavier there. And then really get heavy on that, on the support. Because like this whole block, it can react in there. We don't know where. That's why low leverage, because you want to catch it, right? You want to catch. You don't know if it's going to bounce here, here, or there. But you want to trap it, right? You want to catch it. So give yourself give yourself breathing room. Like I see some people start on like really high leverage with like a tight 2%, 1% stop. That works with experience on low time frames. If you want to catch a swing trade, you got to really give it some room to fucking do its thing, right? So that's trapping a trade, and the math behind the position sizing. I'm about to burp. You don't need to hear that. So for example, we want to start off with a $3,000 position. This 500, 100, whoops, 1,000, 1,500. How does the math work on this? So if it hits this and goes, you can play the leverage game. You just grow the position higher, bigger, and higher using what I just showed you. If it hits there, you have an even bigger position. But what else does it do? The bigger the amount is towards the bottom, towards your risk, your invalidation point, the lower your average entry becomes. So on this template, average entry. So you start off with 500 or 500 bucks, then it hits the 1,000. Then it moves your average entry here, because if it was 500, you're just doubling the size, and what's half of double? The original amount, which is 500. 50% of 1,000 is 500, so it would go down here only. But if you increase your position, the amount while going down, it lowers it to here, right? Which gives you a better entry if you split your capital, your amount, into 3 different parts. It could be more different, but I'm just using this example as a clean number to go from double, then double, right? Because if you go 500, 500, 500, that sets the average here, and that's a $1,000 entry. But then when it gets to the last 500, it sets your average just probably here. We want to lower the average as possible, as much as possible. So from here, it gets lowered to here, say about there. And then once price hits that last 1,500, down here, it lowers your average entry from being 7%. Your average entries here, last buy orders there, so it goes to half, because the position size is already the same as your last limit order, or last amount that you want to put in. So it becomes half, which is about there. So you've gone from 7% risk, using your full amount now that you were willing to risk, down to 3%. That's how you catch a trade. That's how you catch an entry on a long or a short. Because it could be a short, works the same fucking way. You ladder into your entry. You don't go full clip right away. I never fucking full clip. The only time I do is if it's a degen entry at 1% that I'm willing to lose, that I'm 70% sure I'm going to lose, but I catch them sometimes. And that's literally what my $100 to whatever trade was. I started it on 10x because it was just a YOLO with no stop loss. I do that often. I'll throw out $100 here and there, sometimes even more, depending on the market cap of the coin, and then I'll catch it. I just let it get destroyed. If it does, I only lost $100, but I'll catch these fucking bangers once in a while that end up being like a couple of thousand from $100. But then you'll catch the really big juicers that end up on meme coins. I know some of you probably don't like meme coins, but with a strategy, it's okay to trade meme coins, right? You trap these entries. I've trapped this one on here, and I've lowered my risk from 7% down to 3% or whatever it was, where my average entry is down here, all using a laddering method. That's one way I catch trades. So from this point, you can start increasing your leverage from here. You're on 5x. From here, you can remove the margin, do what I just showed you, open up a bunch of different other trades using that same capital that are on good supports, or set limit orders, or even add to this one. It's really up to you what you want to do. But you have options now. You've freed up that capital. And this is what I like to do on new accounts. I start low, but I open up other trades as well at the same time using the same capital from one that already took off. Or I just add to that one. I'll maybe have just one trade in one account, but it's like a monster sized position because I keep building it, right? You have options. So trap trades, do not chase them. Start on low leverage, ladder your entries in, do the math. It's not hard. Like every time you see a P&L that's 200x, understand if they're a skilled trader, they started on 5x to trap it. Once they're in profit, then they really ramp up the leverage and juice it, man. They build it there. That's how you get, for example, here. I'm assuming at this point, you know what a bull flag is. Another thing, retail patterns, don't fall, victim to those. They're nice. They just help new people understand bullish price structure. They don't always work, right? You'll find examples where, like this, even though this isn't a downtrend, you can know it's subjective. Don't put too much weight on retail patterns like head and shoulders, bull flags, cup and handle. On high time frames, they work well. Low time frames, it's noise. Anything lower than like the 4 hour, it's just noise. But with experience, you'll be able to find the ones that are actually what they are, right? So, for example, here, we started our position on this bounce because we have a clear stop there. And looking at our oscillators, what do we see? Divergence. Boom. Oversold, reversal. You know, we have a lot of good signs. So taking the trade here is valid. What's our drawdown? 7%. Use the laddering method that I just showed you. Boom, boom, boom. We caught the trade. Our average entry probably hit our second buy order. We'll say it's just down like right there. We've lowered our average entry to about 6%. Now we're in profits. Stop loss. I don't need this tool anymore because I don't need to measure shit. Horizontal ray. Not lightning. Anyways. Boom. Another thing, adding to the position. There's two ways to do it. 2 times to do it, I should say. Every time it hits support. So this is identified as our top right here. Replay. Okay, we've identified our top. Where do we want to bounce? Our entry is still down here. Where do you add? You don't add at the top. You add on one of these zones, the good bounce zones. But the problem with adding on these zones is with experience, you'll be able to know when to do it and when not to. I don't do it as much on support bounces unless I'm feeling really degen. And the problem is when you're not sure where it's going to bounce, right? And when you keep adding to it, your average goes up. You're burning the candle at both ends because price is coming down lower. Your average is coming closer to the entry or the current price. So add bit by bit on each one of these. But the real one you want to add onto is when it does this. And you don't want to go ham on it either. Is when it breaks that. Then you can add more because once you've broken a trend, we can hopefully expect that it will be an uptrend and it will respect the trend, right? So you're safe down here. Below the 618. Below everything, blah blah blah. You get what I'm saying, right? But the problem with that is you're sacrificing a bit of, room here, but you're also getting a bit of confirmation. So you add a bit more aggressively than, I add a bit more aggressively than just blindly adding here because it came down. And what if I added too much? I sacrificed my entry. So bit by bit on these fib levels, confluent levels, again, not just on fibs, but if you see VWAPs as well, you can expect that to be a reaction zone. And the stronger the confluence is on that zone on a higher time frame, maybe you can add a little more because, again, time frames matter and it's psychology in terms of what you feel comfortable with. I don't feel too comfortable burning the candle at both ends. I like to do this better. Add a bit on there, and then once we confirm, then I add more. Then I'm comfortable putting my entry here. My stop loss just above it. Especially if price has gone up a lot and you see that it has blown past something like this cluster here, which is major rejection zone. But if it blew past it, then I can confidently add quite a bit more here, because not too much that we're too close to this zone right here. See how there's a big order block there, but this, maybe price will do something like this. That's what I'm hoping it will do, right? Respect this trend line, horizontal, moving averages, strong fucking zone, right? So I can be a little more aggressive with my position adding to exit this downtrend or this flag breakout, and maybe add it there, because I expect this strong level to be respected. That comes with experience, to know when, and knowing you gotta be comfortable knowing the strong zones, and you can identify those. If you watch my previous video about identifying macro levels, so we want to go from the low. Oh fuck. Well, we'll go here. Oh. So that acted as really strong resistance. We have to do it from the top to the bottom because we're in a trend, template, macro. So when you zoom in, you got your levels, and you can see strong resistance, resistance. But if price blows, like what I'm saying, past here, you can be pretty confident that it will respect that. If we're in a bullish market, which it feels like we are right now, confluence, baby. So you can be a little more aggressive if it breaks through it. You don't have to add bit by bit and be like, oh, well, the recent low is here. This is a very strong level. You got a fib level, horizontal. I'm sure if we pull some, what's it called? This shit that never fucking works anymore. Hate that. That's so annoying. You can see that this area is going to be resistance as well. We got a fib and a VWAP. I'm going to try and find one that shows. Oh, there you go. Why is it all the way up there, though? Well, anyways, this, you can expect probably that. Deviation, rejection off of this horizontal level, or it might even reject here. But that's what I mean about if you were looking to catch a short here, you would ladder in like I was showing you. Short position. This is a little too obvious. I would have put it there because I like to put my entries or a bigger part of my buy where everyone's stop loss would be. It's so fucking obvious. You will get experience with that later. The more you realize, like, why do I keep getting stopped out? You'll find a pattern. And I've found the pattern already that the most obvious is where the market makers will chop up your position by hitting an obvious stop loss and then send it back up. So I'm ready to catch this. Invalidation probably there, 3%. Maybe I would have started building my position down here. Boom, boom, boom. Lowered my average to down there. Right? So, yeah. Adding on takes practice. Catching the trade. Oh, we got stopped out of our Bitcoin position, but in profits. See, like this account, I started very little amount, but my P&Ls all green. I'm not getting stopped out because I'm in profits, right? Lots of green. I'm careful with I'm not being too degen. And that's another thing, to structure your accounts. You're gonna have one for degen, one for closing positions. I'll talk about that again after. Back to catching a trade. The leverage game, you got to master that to be able to. That's your final form as a trader, being able to master leverage. Leverage responsibly is it's a hack, man. Like I just showed you what you can do with, like, for example, this is 338% up because I started this position. I think it was originally like 10,000, and I just keep taking out of it. That now my margin is $50, but I'm at 20x, despite it showing that. And like, if you want to look at my entry, it looks like, oh wow, I cut the bottom. I started this position here, and I just kept building it. And this is one that I'm talking about, that once it breaks a major level, I added a little more aggressively because it broke higher than this high, and I expect this support to be respected. And you can see that my stop loss is just above, but if I start getting, the market doesn't look too good, I'll either take profits or move my stop loss a little higher, right? But my drawdown from where it was, this can happen 20% in any market, but I'm comfortable that even if it goes down 13% to this cluster, it could bounce. I might get stopped out like Black Swan, who knows? But I have a lot of fucking breathing room. I didn't catch the trade down here. I caught it down here. I kept building it so that I'm now comfortable. Up here, once it broke that, I added a tiny bit because originally my entry was down here. Then I added a tiny bit to go up here. And hopefully that gets respected. Then I can add more. But if it does get respected, I bought a bit here. And like if I exit now or anytime and I start seeing weakness up here, I've increased the size. I've secured profits. I'm going to close the trade, right? But you can keep building using the same capital, starting off on 5x, then boom, up here 10x, then boom, 20x up here. Do I have any crazy positions open? No, see, I started on 3x. I'm catching a bonk short. I'm in profits. A Sui short, I'm at red. But I'm going to build this into a monster size, right? I'm okay being in the red. That's another thing you got to be comfortable with. Being in the red to catch the move. But if you have conviction, you're seeing the signs, it's okay to be in the red. Don't panic. It's not going to happen right away. Sometimes my trades that I catch, I'm in them in the red for a week, but it's consolidating in there, and I only add to the position where I'm comfortable. I don't go full clip. I add bit by bit by bit to the full amount that I'm comfortable with, and I add on the way down, and then once I'm in profit, I do my leverage game. Increase my leverage, remove my margin, and then build the position there, and then open another trade or just build a monster size, right? So you start, like, I can't stress enough to not be greedy and start on 5x. It sucks like when you see a trade take off and like, oh, next time I'm gonna start bigger. Don't get used to that. Stick to the same percentages. Be very rigid with your entries. Be rigid with your system and your strategy. Don't get too confident when you start thinking like, oh, my account's growing. That's why I said before, take out 60%, keep 30% in, and half of that keep for a rainy day. Half of that, 60%, keep for yourself to spend on whatever, right? Make that your salary. That's what I started doing. I started paying for my bills and shit using trading, right? I go on trips. I buy frivolous things because I'm allowed to with the way I structured my accounts, and I take profits, right? I pay for my indicators, my paid trading groups, using my profits. I have a separate account to pay for my trading stuff, right? So that's the first thing I do. Make the money and like close out of that, and then I don't touch that account again till I need to make the next month's amount. But if I make surplus, then I'm good for 2 months. I'm good for 3 months, right? But I keep that account the same size. So I've talked about catching trades. I've talked about the leverage games. What else should I talk about? But I don't want to talk about too much in this one because I want to put it all together in the final concept video. But you get an idea of how I catch the trades using my setups and how I enter them staggered. Oh yeah, another strategy. So for shit coins, or if you see something overcooked, let's find something overcooked. Holy fuck. When did this happen? Anyways, H bar. How's that up 15% when it looks like this? Oh, we're on replay mode. There you go. That looks more like it. So, template default. Let's try and identify where we can short this bitch. You know what? I'll just enter a short now to show you. H bar. Oh no, wait! I probably have one set up already. With. No, that one's laddered. Stewie. So, I really expect it. I want it to reject somewhere around here, because when you look at the chart, Stewie, macro. We're on the daily high time frame chart, and we can see we're coming up to resistance, right? But then again, like I said, it could go up to the 786. It could deviate, but we can see that. We look at our oscillators. Come on, bro. Oh, are you kidding me? Where did everything go? Don't tell me I lost all my indicators. Oh, this is fucking ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Let me do this. Yeah, it looks like everything's gone. What is happening with TradingView today? Oh, I hate setting... When this happens, I hate setting things up again. Oh, that's an old view. Ah, motherfucker. I click delete all indicators and yeah. Anyways, so I'll go back to what I was saying before I realized everything disappeared. Indicators. Oh, you put the ones that I'm gonna talk about for now. Grow plus. $37, turn that off. So that's back to the way it was. Market dynamics. Turn off. Triangle. We go to the 4-hour. Prime block. Where are the windows? See how that area lines up with a strong short zone? So if I enter the short here, or I've already entered the short, to that next area that I expected to be rejected is about 13%. But I want to catch that short. It might even do this and then go down, right? But I'm like, again, with my psychology, I'm not sure if it's gonna tank or not, because we're in a bullish market. You know, you don't want to be overly bearish once you get to resistance in a bullish market, despite it having lots of confluence, because news can come out and just fucking send this thing, right? So what I do is this strategy. So if I enter, and my entrance was here, which you can see was like down here, but I was comfortable riding it out to see whatever happens. My liquidation point is up here. I'm on only 5x to catch the trade, to trap it. And if the price presses up to where my liquidation is, I've got a buffer buy right here, right? So that if it does this, I'm still in the trade, right? I catch it. This is like a set and forget like strategy or entry. It works. I use both of them. I don't favor one or the other, but it depends on a bunch of things like market sentiment, my psychology, my mental state, what the price is doing, what the oscillators tell me, everything. It becomes like a thought process, and I'll talk about that later. But you can see that a whole bunch of things really matter, which to influence the type of entry that I'm going to execute. So what this type of entry does is, like I said, set and forget. It can do whatever in here. I'm not adding to it because I expect probably a deviation. So I'm going to use it's called the buffer strategy, and I learned it from like the guy that made this music. And sorry if it's too loud, but deal with it. Just kidding. So what this will do is if it hits my limit order just before my liquidation, it will give me another block at 5%, our 5x leverage. Where is that shit? Oh, here. Let's say this was my window of allowance. When you double, let's say my starting position size was $100. Set another buffer order just before liquidation. Not too close, because if price is volatile, it'll just shoot right through it, right? And slippage, you'll miss your limit order and it'll just liquidate you. So have it a few, maybe like 1% away from liquidation. Yeah, 1%. So that'll give you this size of a window. How big is this? 20%. 20% wiggle room. So like I said, when you double your position size, it moves your average entry to half of where price was, where it hit that limit, right? So this new window of my liquidation gets to move to halfway from where that was. So let's say it's about here. My average entry is now here. Liquidation is up here. But I've survived it, right? I've survived that crazy wick. And that's one way to catch it. But this strategy, this entrance or entry method, don't do it on anything higher than 5x. You want to trap it, you want to catch it, then build on 10x, right? Because 10x would only give you 9%, because that's fees, right? Liquidation fees or whatever. It doesn't give you a full 10%. It gives you roughly 8 to 9, and that's down here. I would have been liquidated already. But since I started it on 5x, it gave me more room, 20% close to, but with the market looking toppy, you can employ this strategy with being able to read if we're at resistance, right? If everything's about to turn, or if this thing has shot up so fucking fast that, like for example, I'll show you bananas. Shit like this, right? If you see price went up so high and you're about here, I'm not saying to do it on this coin because this is too volatile. See that wick? That's not even on the 1 hour. That's dangerous. But let's try and find a better example. Magic. See, when price does something like this, you can be pretty sure it's going to be, it's going to go down. Overcooked, overbought, all that, all the good signs, right? We have all those signs. You check on the daily as well. Overcooked, boom. We caught this. But that's the time to use it on an overbought asset, or when things are looking bearish overall in the market. That's when I like to use this buffer method. Because it'll do this, you won't get liquidated, but you'll still catch it on 5x. You have a bigger window, it moves your average entry, but it also moves your liquidation much further. You'll be able to know how many times. I don't suggest doing this too many times because you'll just keep doing it over and over. You got to know when your invalidation is. I like to only buffer a maximum of twice, and after that, count it as a loss. But if I'm buffering it a second time, I know my risks. I know I'm playing a very degen play. I know that price is being very, very fucking, bullish, that I have to be okay in the red or losing that position altogether, being able to, having to cut it. So, use with discretion the buffering strategy. Another thing that I do if I have time to be in front of the screen is set soft stops. So for example, what's a good 4 hour? There you go. No, that's not a good one. A reversal. Okay, this is a perfect one right here. So let's say my entry was right about here, and my stop loss that I intended was down there, right? I'm not going to set a hard limit order. I'm going to set an alert. Okay, I might as well put alerts in this video as well. I'm going to set an alert as another thing. When you set alerts, so click on the plus sign, alert, boom. Message, set a message for yourself so you know what the fuck you're trying to remind yourself. I didn't used to do that, but I'd be like, the fuck, what was I trying to do there, you know? I get an alert that I set maybe a month ago. So stop loss area, watch for 4 hour candle close. Depending on your time frame, this is how you do it. So if I'm on the 4 hour, wait for a 4 hour candle close. If I'm on the 2 hour, wait for a 2 hour candle close. That is another thing people get wrong. I will talk about time frames in a separate video, just to make it smaller, more digestible, but save. So when price hits there, and I'm charting or I'm trading or I'm fucking around playing Marvel Rivals, I get hit with a notification on my phone, or it pops up here. The XLM is crossing. How long ago was that? Like 7 minutes ago. We'll check that out after. See, I didn't set a note there. I don't even know what the fuck that means right now. What am I looking at? So set notes for yourself to know what you're gonna do there. Because I'll set notes for myself, and it gives me instructions. I set instructions in there. Take along with this position size, this leverage, invalidations there, blah blah blah. You know, my whole idea. If I want to take a long, so if I'm out and about, I'll take 2 minutes of my time, you know, step aside, put the trade in on my phone, take a market buy, whatever, and then that takes me 5 minutes. I don't have to think about why I'm doing it or anything else. I have all my trade planned out in the note to take it there. Or if it was a dump and bearish news came, I will look at the notification, look at the price, the chart quickly, look at the market, whatever, see if it was bearish news, depending on how drastic it was, and then take the trade or not. But my point is, set notes for yourself. It will save you so much. It will get you entries that you planned weeks ago. But yeah, back to the time frame or the exit. See how that was a fake out? We're on the 4 hour. You watch it hit the alert, watch for a 4 hour candle close within my allotted stop zone. Again, this is very advanced because if it did close down here, you're losing 8%. So you have to be able to know, or like this position that I'm in now, I'm watching it and I'm, you know, if I'm stepping away, then I'm setting a hard stop. But if I'm watching it and I hit that alert and I have a feeling based on my experience, you know, that comes with time, based on your experience. See, even on the 2 hour, it wasn't a candle close. Let's check the 1 hour. That's a market maker game right there. That's a scam wick. Even the 1 hour, it's See, everyone's stop losses are so obvious there. It's like, I'm going to blow past that. Even people that would have put it down here, they would have, with what's it called? I'd stop. That's still a 3 to 4% gap. So that's why the laddering in, even if it's below there, to catch people's stops, is such a good strategy. Ladder in, wider stops, low position, ladder your entries, because it will catch a few of them. Might not catch all, might catch all, but you still have skin in the game. And don't be greedy about it. Don't be like, fuck, I'm gonna add to it now because I want it to be bigger. Over time, like I showed you, this account started with 500. I got it to 3,000. I took out my money, got it back to 500 or 600. I left some in to grow the account slowly, but I'm taking out money at the same time. You don't need a lot of capital. And a lot of the times it only hit 2 of my orders, 2 of my 5 orders on the way down. Sometimes it hit 1, but I scaled it up, right? And it also depends on how your position sizing based on the confluence and the strength and the conviction of the zone that you're putting it on, right? So this is another method for watching your stop loss. You have to have the time to do it. If you're walking away from the computer, if I'm walking away, I always set a hard stop. Because if I'm not around the computer and the price tanks, like Donald Trump says, just kidding, Bitcoin's a piece of shit, price is doing that. I'm not waiting 4 hours to, my alert, and I'm, I don't know, out with friends, under the water, or snowboarding, or doing whatever the fuck it is. I missed it, and I'm liquidated at this point. So set a hard stop, but if you have the time, I suggest getting comfortable with learning how to do this. Because a lot of the times you will get stopped out. If you have a hard stop, then the price reverses, right? So we'll look for another example of market maker games. Here, 2 examples right there. 4-hour candle close. Bro, I can't believe I removed all my... That's so annoying. Having to customize all that shit again. There you go. That's another one. This is another good one. It's another good one. Fake outs, right? You don't want your stop to be too obvious. That stopped people out, just boom, right there. People would put their entries there, but like I said, catch it and catch it like an egg. You want to cushion it into to a stop, And I don't mean stop loss. I mean the stop being your heaviest buy to lower your average entry to the lowest it could possibly be by putting your oh fuck, I gotta go soon, but yeah, you get the idea. You want to catch your entries low leverage, small position size, heavier amounts at the bottom. And another strategy for stop losses is watching the candle close if you have the time, but always set a hard stop if you're stepping away. I might miss some ideas, but I'll bring them back in another video. But yeah, I gotta go. See you soon. Love y'all. Bye.